Howdy, folks. I'm Cardboard Cutout Brian,
I'm Amber.
and here's some card irrigated cardboard. I know it's corrugated. So, Amber, let me ask you something. What was your most unusual toy that you had as a kid?
I
Most
mean,
unusual.
it's really hard. I feel like they were all pretty standard. I mean, I did have one blanket that I used so often that it was like basically just a giant lint ball when I was done.
Yeah.
I can't, I can't think of it. I
So,
mean,
lint.
basically like,
Lint was Amber's most unusual
well,
toy as a
my
child.
blanket's name was Grungietta, and it was like it had started out as a white blanket with pink edges, but by the time I was done with it, it was literally gray. It had been washed, but I brought it everywhere with me, and so like it was just perpetually gray. The pink like ribbon around the edges had fallen off. It was just like shredded. It was very gross.
Lint. Amber had lint as a child. Someone help poor child Amber. My most unusual toy, it was a metal pole that we used for sword fighting. And here's some Reddit. Let me know what your most unusual toy was when you were growing up, folks. Alright, folks, our first letter is titled, Am I a jerk for accepting my boyfriend's public proposal and then refusing it in private? I'm a 26-year-old female, and my boyfriend of 15 months recently proposed to me. We live in a smallish town, and on New Year's Day, there's kind of a farmer's market slash fair that happens in the town square. I know it probably sounds lame to big city folks, but it's a big deal in our area and it gets really packed. There are local artisans who set up booths, games, performers, and decorations are gorgeous. My boyfriend and I attended with a group of friends, and I could tell that something was up because his friends were acting a little weird. There was a live band playing, and after two songs, they announced that they heard that there was a singer in the crowd, and they called my boyfriend up to perform the Bees Gees with How Deep Is Your Love with Them. I said it wrong again, but we're gonna stick with it. Boyfriend is an amazing singer and used to be in a band when he was in college. So I thought that this was a big surprise that his friends were being strange about. But then, just before the song ended, he got down on one knee and proposed to me. We aren't living together. We've never had a serious conversation about planning for our future, and in fact, we have never even spent more than 5 days cohabiting in this same space. So him proposing was a complete shock. I knew instantly that I was not ready. But I could see that the crowd was staring at us and people were filming and kept thinking of humiliating videos on the internet of men proposing and then being shot down and didn't want that to be us. So in the moment, I said yes. The boyfriend was ecstatic and so was the crowd. So I told him that we should get back. But he wanted to stay longer, and we spent another 2 hours walking around to the constant congratulations before I finally nagged him into heading back. Once we were at my house, I told him that I didn't want to get married. He was furious, and we had a huge fight where he accused me of playing games with him and that I shouldn't have said yes if I didn't mean it. He stormed out and hasn't spoken to me since. Our friends are split. Some agree that it was a really awkward situation, but others are saying that I should have just ripped the band-aid off immediately rather than giving him hope. I'm not sure whether or not what I did was right anymore, so I'm hoping for some unbiased opinions. Am I the jerk? Well, OP, lucky for you, we have lots of unbiased opinions here. So, well, Amber, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. You were in a lose-lose situation. You reject him in public, and he's humiliated in public, and you look like the bad person for
Mm-hmm.
saying no. You say yes in public and then reject him in private, and it's why did you lead him on?
Yeah.
There's no winning. You couldn't have done anything. Like, either option you took, you were gonna look bad in the eyes.
Yeah, of someone. And that I think that he should have just listened to you when you were saying that you wanted to go away. Like, if that's not the biggest indicator that maybe something isn't quite right, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what is. He's seemingly oblivious, right? Or maybe
Yeah.
he was like procrastinating on it because maybe he knew in the back of his head that there was something wrong, and maybe he thought like, if I hold her hostage here for long enough, maybe she'll change her mind. It's
Like
kind of like yesterday's video. You'll change your mind about that ring.
Like, that's the thing about public proposals is you have to, one, know that your partner is being interested in being married, and two, know that they're interested in a public proposal.
Yeah, some people just aren't into big grand gestures like this.
Hmm.
And that's the trouble with public proposals when you don't know someone very well or know what they want, is it feels more like a coercive way of getting someone to marry you as
Yeah,
opposed
or it's
to
about being flashy and look at
yeah,
me.
yeah.
And less about what this person wants. Like, if you're planning on proposing, even if your partner wants it to be a surprise, it's
Hmm.
best to like be like, what types of proposals would you like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that there was anything wrong with public proposals, so, but I'm just saying that you should know going into it what kind of proposal your partner would want. So, really, after all, it's about you two, creating a life together, and having conversations is part of creating a life together,
Hmm.
right? So, anyhow, take care and good luck. And hey, Mallory says, not the jerk. He would hate you even more if you had done it in public rather than in private. I can understand that he is upset, but he put you on the spot. I always wonder in these situations, if you had said no, then do you actually want to be with this guy, or are you saying no, I'm not ready yet? And OP says, I'm just not ready yet, both as a couple and individually. I don't think that I'm at the point in life where I'm ready for this kind of commitment. Even just the reality of cohabitating. I've never lived with another person, not even siblings, as I'm an only child. I know things like sharing space, splitting bills, etc. is a trial by fire that some couples don't make it through. So to just skip over all of that is really just jarring. Alright, folks, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for not warning my husband that his favorite TV character was about to die? Grey's Anatomy spoilers, do not read if you are watching before season 5. So that's your spoiler alert too, folks. So my husband and I started watching Grey's about 1 to 2 months ago, and we just started season 6. The show has been new to him, and it's a rewatch for me. Everything had been going really great. My husband was really getting into the show. He loved George like a lot. And me, having already watched the show, I knew that season 6 would hurt. So I debated telling him, and for 5 seasons, I didn't know if I should tell him. Well, I decided not to. None of us got a heads up before George was going to be gone, and I thought that he deserved the experience the same way that we all did. No one warned us, plus it dilutes the experience. Here's where he says that I'm the jerk. His favorite character was George. Hands down, loved him. And he says that I just let him walk right into the pain and couldn't at least give him a heads up. I said no. If I gave him a heads up, the experience wouldn't have been the same. He counters and says it still would have hurt, but maybe then I wouldn't have cried. Because I didn't tell him, he doesn't want to watch the show with me anymore. I asked if he wanted me to tell him who all dies, and he said that's not the point. He said that I'm a jerk for not being gentle and slowly telling him who was going to die. In my defense, he didn't get the 007 written on the hand the first time. He got it when Mer ran screaming that it was George. Anyways, am I the jerk for not telling him? Side note, please don't take this super seriously. He knows that I'm writing it, and we want to know what people think. Happy Thursday. Alright, folks, what do you think, jerk or not the jerk?
All right, I have a little bit of a different perspective from a lot of people. So I'm going to go with no jerks here for now, but it really depends on your relationship.
Okay.
And how well you know your partner. Like, if I was watching a show with Brian that Brian had seen and I was getting attached to a character and he didn't tell me that the character was going to die, I would be really upset. I
This is
am
why I don't
OP's
watch any.
husband.
That's why I don't watch any shows without Amber. No, I'm just kidding.
And so, like, if you knew this was something that was going to crush your partner and you're like, but the experience, then I'm going to say you're a little bit of a jerk. Like, it really depends on.
The situation between Amber and me, Amber, I'm well aware that Amber doesn't want to have any surprises that are big like that, and so I would probably ruin a surprise for her like that. But it really just depends on the medium. It depends on the show. So.
Yeah, like some people want to have spoilers so they can be prepared or decide if they want to continue with it.
Hmm.
Because, like, when X Files, this is a mild spoiler if you haven't seen season 9, but when they did the Jump the Shark episode, I went into that. I thought the lone gunmen were untouchable. And when the clock was ticking down and they weren't getting out of there, like, it gutted me. It destroyed me. Poor 18-year-old Amber. I was like crushed for ages because of that. But so it's all about how well you know your partner. If you know that they would want to know, then don't make them suffer.
Yeah, I think that really is dependent upon the relationship. So I think that this is just it's a no win situation for people. It just really is hard. Anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for moving my son into a rental apartment after finding out that his dad had been canceling his job applications? My son Aiden is 23 and he moved back in with us upon graduating from college, as my husband wanted. My husband's original plan was to have Aiden live with us for free, but stay home and help with his disabled younger brother, 16-year-old. Aiden started complaining about needing money and wanting to find a job. My husband was against this and even offered to double his allowance, but Aiden was growing tired of staying at home. So he began looking for jobs here and there for over a year, but none of his job applications came through. He'd just apply and they would never get back to him. We were confused by this until recently. I found out that my husband was behind all of the job applications being canceled. He'd wait until Aiden applies and then he would proceed to cancel the application by impersonating him using his email. I blew up at him for this, but his justification is that he was just trying to make sure that our younger son is cared for by Aiden, and said that Aiden has been a big help and him getting a job will affect his care for his brother. I went ahead and I rented an apartment for Aiden and I told him to stay there until he finds a job and starts paying for it himself. Aiden was hurt upon knowing what his dad did. My husband was livid when he found out. He called me unhinged and said that I was separating the boys and teaching Aiden to become selfish and care more about a job than family. He also said that it was a huge decision for me to rent out an apartment without even running it by him first. He's been giving me a lot of trouble about it and calling me a terrible mother for encouraging Aiden to be selfish and self-centered. He said that I needed to see and understand why he did what he did. Edit, to mention a few things. My husband said that since he and I have health issues, we could use Aiden's help. When I suggested outside help, my husband refused, saying that he won't ask anything from anybody and that his son is his problem and nobody else's. I used money from our joint account to pay for the rental apartment. My husband said that I was wrong and that was a major waste of money since we deal with medical bills constantly. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. Now, normally, if you're using a joint account, it's best to talk to your partner, but you're getting your son out of an abusive situation. And so I think there's some wiggle room there.
I think when somebody is under the threat of financial abuse or some other abuse, and you are, because it would kind of make you culpable if you didn't do anything, right? You would also be financially abusing your son to some degree if you didn't help them and compensate them for the trouble that they've been through.
Yeah, and so I think the important thing here is your husband is being a bad person right now.
Yeah, he really is.
He is treating your son not like a person with agency, but like a little prop in his scheme. Like, children are not little things for you to do with as you wish. They are their own people.
Yeah.
And he took your son's kindness because Aiden has been helping out his brother. And he's like, well, you can just do this forever now.
Yeah. He gave an inch and your husband took a mile. And that's really what this boils down to. And it's pretty unfortunate because this is a huge breach of trust. I would not be surprised if Aiden never trusts your husband again,
Yeah,
and
well,
maybe even never speaks to him again.
yeah, I mean, honestly, that what your husband has done is horrible. I would reevaluate the relationship with him after this. It shows a side of him, like the way he acts like
Yeah,
Aiden wanting to have his own life is selfish and self-centered.
the coercion,
Yeah.
the just the deceit.
Like you and your husband signed up to be parents. Aiden didn't.
Yeah,
And
and that's really what this boils down to. Aiden is not his brother's, caretaker, and if he wants to help caretake, he can, right? He's an adult, he can make decisions, but it's also important for him to have his own life. You can't force him to take care of his brother forever.
right, and
And that's part of the reason why there are state resources.
exactly. Well, and if you and your husband wanted him to be if your husband wanted him to be a caretaker, then approach him with an
Hmm.
actual caretaker salary and
Oh
tell him,
yeah,
give him the
yeah.
choice, but
Not
don't.
not some kind of allowance,
Yeah,
right?
like that. How much even is this allowance? Like, I can't imagine it's anything that's going to help him have his own independent life, and that seems like what your husband doesn't want is for him to have any independence.
Yeah, and unless you folks are loaded, what's going to happen in the future when you two aren't around anymore? How much of a situation are you setting both of your sons up for failure in that case, right?
Yeah, well, and it also seems like he wants Aiden to take care of you and him too, because
Hmm.
you both have medical issues. He's like, Aiden can just be a caregiver for everyone.
Yeah, Aiden, you're a great pal. Care for us all. It's a really bad situation. I feel bad for Aiden here. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and I have a special guest tea as well. And Amber's got a joke.
What did the book put on when it was cold?
A jacket. A
Yes.
book jacket.
Yes.
Of course. I mean, that one was clever. It was clever. And you might have expected that 3-year-old Brian wouldn't be able to get that joke, but I am a mighty clever 3-year-old, let me tell you.
Yeah, three plus quite a few more numbers.
Nope. Maybe I'm 8. And I have licorice spice right here, and I'll tell you about my special guest tea as well. So, Amber, what's the special guest tea that we have?
With some kind of matcha. I don't remember the name.
Supreme Matcha Green. It's not bad. It's a very nice tea. It's very fragrant like the last one. Their regular plain old teas, variety of them, are much better than their fennel-based other teas that they like to throw fennel into. Imagine that. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Happy Friday. So, Amber, what's the moral of the story today? I'll let you go first, even.
Well, I think one moral is don't sabotage your children and try and make them be caregivers against their will.
No, I mean, I think that's the opposite of what we should be learning from that one, is that if you are a parent and you want to use unsavory means, then you can trap your kids forever.
No, no,
Also, always propose publicly and as
no,
loudly as possible.
no.
And finally, always reveal all the spoilers to whoever is watching a show with you, and just make sure to do it like right before they watch the episode too. That way it's just ruined for them. So I mean, I think those are some good sets of morals
No,
today.
I don't think so.
The best. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Bye.
Howdy, folks. I'm Cordboard Brian. Actually, probably my most unusual toy. My most unusual toy probably was, what are those, the ski poles called, right? So when I was a kid, I found the top of one of those ski poles. So it was just like the little ring, and it was a little spike, and I pretended it was a dagger. That was probably my most unusual toy. I never stabbed anyone with it, so don't you get any ideas. It was just for fun. Maybe my more unusual toy was a segment of a steel chain that I carried around as a good luck charm.
Not a toy, but like used to when I was like 11, I think. I collected little tufts of fur from the neighborhood cats, so
Yeah.
like I have like a memento of each one. Like like looks like the Victorians used to take like locks of hair for
Yeah.
people, and so instead I had like little fur balls from neighborhood cats and my own cat, of course.
Yeah. So that's right, folks. Amber carried around lint and cat fur as toys.
They weren't toys. The fur wasn't toys. I just had a little collection of them.